All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Saman. I'm a senior software engineer at Elastic, and my team is part of the security intelligence. So we support our security researchers through collecting and engineering the data they would need to dig into the binaries, and also by providing services and tools to make their lives easier so they can help protect the world's data from attack. Pretty cool stuff. In my years of experience as a software engineer, I've worked with a handful of legacy systems, and sometimes I've been lucky enough to have the opportunity of redesigning them. And sometimes I had to stick what it was and just push through. So today, I'd like to share a few tips to make our lives as engineers easier when we are dealing with the nuance of legacy systems. So we've all experienced that moment when you are angry and frustrated and you just want to know which idiot wrote that code and you hit git blame. And sometimes you find your name there. Sometimes it's a colleague that left the company 5 years ago. And sometimes it's your current teammate that you're actually looking up to. And that's all fine, because everyone writes legacy code. Actually, the code we are writing today becomes legacy someday. And that is because of a very simple concept, which is time. And I know some physicists might not agree with me, but we're not talking about that depth. So in time, business requirements change, systems evolve, and most importantly, humans learn. Which means it's inevitable that today's best becomes tomorrow's pain. But this pain can be tolerable if we can manage it. After wrestling with all sorts of legacy systems across different products in varying ages, I realized that everything eventually boils down to one thing, and that is maintainability. So let's see what is maintainability. Maintainability is a simple yet difficult to implement feature. The two fundamental pillars of maintainability, from my perspective, are readability and predictability. Readability means following the flow smoothly and understanding it like you're reading a captivating story. And it could be code, it could be documentation, it could be architecture, or it could be all the pieces of a system sitting together. Predictability means the existence of strong patterns in the system. So our brains are wired to recognize patterns, to find patterns, to make patterns. Everything we do as human beings is basically based on a pattern we have learned someday. So finding patterns and following them reduces the mental toll of working with legacy systems significantly. The tips I'm gonna share now are all based on one or both of these pillars. The first one, we just talked about patterns, and convention is basically a pattern. A bad convention is still a convention, and you should stick to it. Why? Because multiple conventions means no convention, and no convention means chaos and confusion. Sticking to the existing conventions increases readability and makes your teammate onboarding process easier. It makes your life easier because there's a pattern you can watch and follow. Let's talk about a simple example. Imagine in your team, you have this rule where coffee means juice and juice means coffee. And your team agrees on that, and this applies to all your communications, to your code, to your docs, and you're just all fine with that. But if one day, suddenly, someone starts to use these words in their true meanings, then you all get confused. Documents get outdated. Code namings and comments stop making sense. And people have to ask every time, do you mean coffee or coffee juice? So it brings a lot of confusion to your system, and it becomes worse on the day you're going to refactor and redesign the legacy system, because then you don't know which coffee is coffee and which coffee is juice. So to wrap it up, a bad convention is still a convention, and any convention is better than no convention. The second point is for those restless souls out there that want to try all the new things in the world. So we all know the tech world moves faster than light. Every year there's a new trend, every week there's a new tool, and every day we discover a new library. And it's only natural to get excited about these things and feel the urge to explore them and use them in the next piece of work. Because we get bored of repetitive things. But how far should we incorporate our personal adventures into the system? Before getting carried away by some exciting features, let's pause and take a breath and maybe think twice. We can ask ourselves, is this really the best solution? Do we really need this? Can we achieve the same goal with the existing set of tools at hand? Because introducing a new tool to an existing system can get tricky. It expands the scope of debugging and possibility of failure. You've all had that moment when you're updating a library and something randomly somewhere breaks. Adding a new tool adds complexity and brings more context switching not only to you but your team as well. But I'm not saying we should never add a new tool to the system because that's dumb. I'm saying we should be cautious when we are working with legacy systems, and we should check the pros and cons list thoroughly before adding them to the system. And a good rule of thumb would be making sure it's clear to everyone on the team that this new tool worth adding the complexity. Because when you try to explain it to other people, you hear yourself talking about it. And sometimes you might realize it's not even necessary. And this is my favorite topic, tests. Writing tests is no delight. It's a repetitive, boring, and frustrating task. And some of you might say it was, but now AI does that for us. Which I would add, you still need to review it and make sure the tests are not biased and actually cover all the edge cases properly. Either way, tests are a speed bump, and we engineers are not best known for our patience. So when the day comes and something major breaks, it's better to have tests to catch them. Different kinds of tests, such as units, integration, and end-to-end, help us understand the system from a better perspective. There have been many times when I was reading a new service, a new piece of code, and I couldn't understand it fully until I found the tests and looked at them. Because at that moment, I was like, this is the input, this is the output, this is the reason for that weird line in the code. And then everything became crystal clear. So in addition to understanding the code better, tests also lower the risk of breaking production. But this only happens if they exist, if they are up to date, and if they run as a mandatory step before deployment. I know it sounds obvious, but trust me, life is full of surprises. There was a time I had to go around the office and interview my colleagues and ask them how they run the tests of a decade-old service. And they had each their own special way of doing that. And while I enjoyed my time as a journalist, that wasn't exactly the job I signed up for. So the lack of experience, rush of delivery, and continuous pressure of adding features and fixing bugs all can lead to ditching tests. And that's all right. But it's better to lose the saddle than the horse. It's never too late to add tests. And as I always say, you can take baby steps. You can find out if there are any existing tests and make sure they pass on your machine, because you don't want to wait for CI for 30 to 40 minutes to run a huge batch of legacy tests. Then make sure that test stage exists in the CI/CD, because there are times that tests exist but they don't run in CI. And you might also notice that some types of tests could be more beneficial to your specific system and your specific needs. So you can focus on them instead of trying to get everything in at once. And to make it even easier, you can write them as you go. Like, you can add a set of integration tests in every working cycle, or just add the unit tests whenever you touch a file or update a module, however your code base is structured. And you don't have to cover everything. Just aim for the most important functionalities and features, because in time, the coverage can be improved. And the last but the most important one is to make sure tests are part of your team's review process. Because if they're not, in a few months, you'll be back at the same place you are today. And last but not least, docs. So I'm not going to lecture you about the importance of documentation, because I'm pretty sure you've all heard that a million times in your lives. Instead, I'm going to talk about what I think is missing in our docs. During the initial development of a system, you only know so much, and the decisions you make might not be the best. You'll make the best decisions with the knowledge of business requirements, technical expertise, and tools at hand. And all three of them change in time, which means sometimes they lead to weird patches in the code or in the system. I believe what we miss in our docs is not the explanation of the current state of things, but the story behind it. The history-aware documentation will give the future team a justification of why things are the way they are. It provides context and passes the lessons learned to the next generation of developers and prevents them from becoming like urban legends. It doesn't need to be fancy. It can be a paragraph, it can be a link to a GitHub issue, it can be a comment in the code or anything of that sort. And I can give you a fresh example from my team. So we collect a lot of data and we store them for archival purposes, which means they are compressed. A few years ago, a pull request got merged that added another layer of compression to already bzipped files. So files that were already compressed with bzip got compressed again with gzip. And we had a library that was reading these files, and magically, that library didn't care about the layers of compression. So it just treated it like normal stuff. And we didn't know this bug exists for years until we added a new service to read those files. And then we got all confused. We rediscovered this bug in our team of 5 to 6 people 2 or 3 times. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm going to add a comment above this code that this is the way things are. And it helped a new team member that joined after all this hassle to just understand what is happening there, because it was a very twisted block of code. So don't be ashamed. Document your bad decisions and mistakes. Legacy systems can be rough, but they don't have to be. Whether you just joined the team or have been there for a while, you want to be at peace when working with them. And to find peace, find standards, and then keep to them, and follow them. And if they don't exist, you can be the one that are creating them. Thank you.